Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on this. We've got quite a show lined up for you today. I actually used the notebook. It's all ready to go. The browser just restarted though, so I need to find my empty window and load everything up. But before we get there, I need to check to make sure that there's actually a connection. Oops, I was in the right spot. Stand by. I want the full room, and then I want to make sure this chat is working. And as usual, at the beginning of a show, I'm like in 3 frames per second. Right? We're not sharing video just yet. Let's check the audio though. Perfect. I think there is at least one video during today's show. All right, so the audio is coming through. Chat, make sure you guys are coming through. All right, it says I can talk to everything but Facebook and LinkedIn. But hopefully I can hear back from Facebook and LinkedIn. And where did that open window go? This one that says new tab, most likely. Yep. All right, so we'll put this over here. And I actually even put some of the stuff in some sort of a flow. So we're off to a good week, other than the situation starting a little slow. But we've got some fun stuff, including yet another recall. So let me find the notepad and we'll get started. There we go. Like I said, this Mac likes to move stuff around to be helpful. All right, so first up, we've got, we're going to welcome somebody to the social. Got 3 pages on, no, 4. I've got something fresh to go with it. And then right after that, we'll get to that recall, so I don't forget. There's a lot of X posts there, isn't there? All right, let's move this window out of my way. Come on, come on, come on. We got work to do. Okay. Back to you guys. Over here. And we'll move the notepad on top so I can see it. Whatever just happened there. Okay. First up, like I said, welcome to the social. We're going to share screen here. Not that one. There we go. And we'll adjust this view. Perfect. All right, so like I said, welcome to the Supercharger Social. Hyundai has finally jumped on board to use the NACS connector in the US starting in 2024. And their boilerplate is not the same as everybody else's. Yes, 2024 and 2025. Yes, that part's the same. However, let's get a little deeper into it. Also, on other photos of this event, I think I've got a tweet, or sorry, an X post on that. So bear with me, and we'll look at some other pictures on this situation here. All right, so let's see. How did they phrase it? All right, so Hyundai announced this morning that new or refreshed electric vehicles in the U.S. will come exclusively with a NACS charging port beginning in the 4th quarter of 2024. Okay, so this now is our first confirmation that the 2025 is a 2025 model year, because the 4th quarter is not when you bring out a car in North America. The 4th quarter is when you bring out next year's car. So that kind of solidifies my thoughts that these are model years we're talking about. So I don't necessarily think that we'll see the adapters before winter holiday, but I think that just like Hyundai, we'll see the cars well before the actual New Year celebration. And then it goes on to say, and this is another weird one because it just gets weirder from there. They, not only did they start with the retrofit, who else started with the retrofit? Whoever announced, not retrofit, but the native force. Whoever announced last, uh, whoever announced last did this. But their timeline was different. Hyundai's got a completely unique timeline from the rest of the crew. All right, Canada will follow in the first half of 2025, whereas North America is all together. Not with Hyundai. Canada is later, and they don't specify what's happening in Korea. Are they gonna continue to source old ports and wait till the price goes up? Or are they gonna use out what they have and then throw some adapters their way? Who knows? It's gonna be interesting to watch this. This means Hyundai's with NACS will gain access to more than 12,000 superchargers across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. That part's exactly the same as everybody else, the 12,000 superchargers. And again, from people who have done the numbers, that 12,000 sounds like V3s. And then, of course, they always say more than 12,000. So that, of course, also would imply V4s. And let's see. The move will effectively double the size of the DC fast charging network that's currently available to Hyundai customers. And then they go on, they are part of this consortium of, what is it, 8 automakers that have not even a name, but they have an agreement to make their own charging network. So let's see. Uh, Jose Munoz, president of CEO of Hyundai North America, says the new alliance will provide Hyundai with the confidence in their ability to conveniently charge their vehicles and complements our joint venture company to create a new high-powered charging network with at least 30,000 stations across North America and the next board. So the question there is, are they counting each individual plug as a station, for one? And have we got anything besides the agreement to make a company for that other charging network? And this is just Hyundai announcing their announcement. So this will be Hyundai Group and Hyundai Motors. However, the Genesis and Kia cars are exactly the same, other than some skin deep tweaks. So we should expect to see announcements from Genesis and Kia very shortly. What's up, Anders? Good evening. Good to see you. So we know the chat's working, and so let's go on with this weirdness that is Hyundai, because they didn't exclude the adapters. They just didn't start with it. Let's see. They say that Tesla's supercharging network will fully support ultra-fast charging speeds on its electric global modular platform, or EGMP, vehicles, including the Ioniq 5, 6, and the upcoming Ioniq 7. So the question here then, they said the ultra-fast charging speed, which implies their 800-volt architecture, right? Without the upconverting. That, or that they somehow made the upconverter work with the superchargers at a reasonable speed rather than the 50 to 75 kilowatts that it's capable of on its own. And the only way that happens without, Hyundai working on the upconverter is if Tesla makes the V3 stations that these 12,000 are, it makes them compatible with a 1,000-volt architecture. There's reasons to do this as well, because Tesla Cybertruck coming out, which runs on 1,000 volts, and I don't see them changing the semi port to NACS soon enough for it to matter. But the semi also runs 1,000-volt architecture, because during the Jay Leno interview, they stated that the Cybertruck inverters have been running for months in the semi truck, so that tells us that as well. Okay, so let's see. As far as owners of existing and future Hyundai EVs with the current CCS port, they will get access to supercharger networks starting in Q1 of 2025, when Hyundai will offer an adapter to these customers. So that is much different than everybody else. Everyone else except for Hyundai, you get your adapters 2024. They didn't say when in 2024. They just said 2024. Hyundai said, nah, that ain't gonna happen, bro. 2025 for your adapters, which kind of means that you don't want to get a non native Hyundai unless you've already got it, or the price is just really good because you're going to be a year behind everybody else with the ability to just travel freely on the Supercharger Social. All right. And they said Hyundai will offer the adapter. It doesn't say that Hyundai's going to make the adapter. So they might get them from Tesla and then dole them out. And this might not be anything wrong with the platform. It might be just that Hyundai is so late to the social that that's just when their allotment arrives. Or it could have something to do with whatever Tesla's doing to make them work with the super fast charging on the EGMP. Interesting. The Korean automaker also said it would make adapters available to charge NACS-equipped vehicles at CCS chargers, and again, make make adapters available. So that sounds like they're just going to use the Tesla the Tesla. What do they call that CCS adapter correctly? I think it's just called the CCS adapter, but that's what they're going to do. All right, let's see. It doesn't say they can't just use another supplier. It doesn't sound like anybody else will do it. They didn't say they don't make adapters. They said they make adapters available. Opening our supercharger network to additional electric vehicles directly supports our mission to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, said Rebecca Tanucci, Senior Director of Charging at Tesla. We're proud to welcome Hyundai as the latest adopter of the North American charging standard. All right, so Hyundai's partnering with, yeah, we talked about their other network twice now, once in the article and then my ad libs. And then more automakers fed up with the lackluster charging experience offered by many third-party companies, being a known barrier to EV adoption, are simply partnering with Tesla instead. Tesla's supercharger network is regarded as the largest and arguably best charging ecosystem. And now Hyundai, which has very ambitious EV plans, is about to give its customers a lot more charging convenience. It also means they will have to use they will be able to use a much slimmer, lighter plug than the bulky CCS. And furthermore, SAE International is in the process of turning the NACS connector into a true standard, making NACS look more and more like the future of EV charging in North America now. I mean, if you didn't see it yet, I mean, like literally, there's a handful of companies that haven't jumped on board yet. Hyundai's latest automaker to adopt the NACS, following in the footsteps of Ford, General Motors, Rivian, Volvo, Polestar, Mercedes-Benz, Nissan, Infiniti, Jaguar, Honda, Acura, Fisker, and Aptera. A similar announcement from Hyundai Motor Group subsidiaries Kia and Genesis are likely to happen soon. Indeed. I want to scroll through these comments real quick. I haven't looked at them. This is going to be interesting to see. All right, let's see. GIF. It'll be interesting to see how they've solved the voltage issue. I've always thought this announcement would come, but that it would be accompanied by a giant flashing asterisk saying charging speeds severely limited. If the voltage issue hasn't been resolved, then superchargers are good for backup emergency use, but 42 kilo. Oh, I thought it was much higher than that. 42 kilowatts. That's slower than a Bolt. 42 kilowatts is not what the Hyundai Kia Genesis owners would expect or seek out otherwise. Hyundai's own network, which the other manufacturers will certainly be 1,000 volt capable and obviously include NACS. It's funny that the network may end up being the first 1,000 volt capable NACS network if Tesla doesn't start rolling out 1,000 volt V4s anytime soon. We'll get to that. It's not a voltage issue. The V2s work fine, as do other 400 volt chargers. Up to 96 kilowatts. Okay, so the 46 is just what they've been seeing out there. 96 kilowatts compared to 230 on 1,000 volt chargers. So not fine. I would definitely take 96 over broken or waiting 10 deep in line. Just saying. The point is V2s are much faster than the V3s. So the 42 kilowatt issue is not caused by the voltage. Interesting. I didn't even catch that till this part of the argument there. So they're saying that if you use the V2, so that would have to be over in Europe because there's no way you're getting a V2 on CCS1 in the States without some sort of manufacturer adapter. Hey, baby. What up? Hello, Moto. Aw, it's so sweet. Say hi to everybody. Yeah, hello. Yeah, what you gotta say? Oh, you want headphones? Yours are in the living room for some reason. Are you drumming on my headphones? Oh, you don't hit, remember? Okay, yeah, you can talk to everybody. All right, let's see what else they have to say, and then we're gonna move on to the other stuff I pulled out. Let's see. Hyundai says Tesla supercharging will fully support the ultra-fast charging speeds. That's a quote. That is definitely not the experience of EGMP owners using Magic Dock. 100 kilowatts seems to be the max. Okay, so they've hit as high, I guess 96 and 100. What's the huge difference? Um, so 100 kilowatts has been the max so far. Far cry from the 232 this platform is capable of. 250 actually. Yeah. Oh no, no, we're gonna leave my breakfast alone. You're gonna make a mess. Yeah. Oh. Huh? Yes. What's up? Yeah, that's where the microphone's coming in so they can hear us. It's called the audio interface. Huh? What do you see? Oh, you want down? No? Yes. What are you kicking at? Yeah, I'll put you down, okay? There you go. Oh, you get on the couch? Okay. All right, so uh that's not the current experience. Apparently has to do in part with whether you're at a V2 or V3. Please, it's important what kind of trip you're planning. And you want up? Yeah. V2s aren't part of the network that non-Teslas will be gaining access to, and V4s are still imaginary. That's why we'll get to the V4s in a minute. The European V4s are designed, are just redesigned V3s at the moment. They are V3s with V4 pedestals at the moment. The current deal is for V3 access. Yeah, so like I said, V2s happen in Europe, so I'm wondering if that's we're getting these numbers. Oh, yeah? Oh no, stay out of the breakfast, baby. You want more apples? Okay, here's an apple. Here you go. Apple. I can't eat it. I'm talking. I can't eat and talk at the same time. Yeah. Okay, so where were we? Arguing about V2s and V3s. Oh, don't put the apple in jelly. That's too much sugar for you. Yes. Yeah. Is it a good apple? Good. Okay. I trust there's a plan, or else Hyundai wouldn't have made this announcement. I suspect that EV owners would like to know what the plan is and what they can expect, and when they can expect decent charging speeds on the supercharger network. I would say that Hyundai's statement was right there. They said everything that they want to say at the moment. Us technically minded folks would definitely like to know what's going on, but that's definitely not what the point of this announcement was. I think it's a signaling issue. Other 400-volt chargers are just fine, so that sounds like it'd be easy to fix. Huh? You just threw the apple on the floor. She ate half of it though. Oh no, the apple's not a mop. Yeah, there you go. All right, so yeah, signaling issue could definitely do it. Da, da, da. Max exists in 500 and 1000-volt rated configuration. 1000-volt version is mechanically backwards compatible. I do wonder though if they They could go and change all the handles out, and handles and cables as necessary, make them 1,000 volts. Um, that would work, and we've seen them do projects like this before because all the V3s in Europe, or not necessarily the V3s in Europe, all the V2s in Europe, when the Model 3 came out, they ended up getting switched to dual head very quickly. And so they have the old Tesla Type 2, and then they have uh, the CCS Type 2 on the same pedestals, continent wide. So they could do that. This will be fun to watch. Does this confirm superchargers will support 800-volt, although not possible on possibly not on older installs? I don't see them going back and doing anything with V2s, but yeah, they said will, but not when. They said when in the things. All right. Or it might mean that Hyundai will revert to 400 volts in the US. That's not going to happen. And then you still got the adapters. V4 is supposedly 1,000 volts, but doesn't work with UTMP in Europe. Well, it's because it's not a full V4 in Europe. It's a V4 pedestal. The V4s in the ground in Europe are operating as V3s, so no 1,000-volt V4s are in public operation anywhere. Yeah, that's true. Why on earth would they do that? Money! Because now you don't have to go back and replace all these V3 pedestals when you pop in V4 equipment on the back end. Would you like to replace 50 um, V3 pedestals and the cabinets, or would you like to come back and just change the cabinets out? Or even better, if the cabinets are the same, just change out some boards. Hmm. I don't know, but the V4s in Europe are basically reskinned V3s and have the same output. Yep. That would be because no Tesla needs it right now. That's another reason. They could possibly flip a switch via software in 2024 when they start shipping Cybertrucks. Yes, it's going to Europe anytime soon. Da, da, da. The 150 kilowatt V2s don't have PLC communications, so none of the brands that are changing to NACS will be able to use them, correct? They won't be able to charge on V2s. The quote is closer to the reality of change than, than your number. All right, so that's enough of this. It's an interesting set of arguments. Hey, look, so this discussion changed a lot since I was there. A VW and Audi. If VW and Audi join, that would be the end of CCS1 standard in North America. Possibly even the world if manufacturers don't make enough cars to justify keeping it. That's going to be Korea, Japan, Taiwan. Electrify America would switch over to NACS handles, then everyone in North America would have to switch. Electrify America has already said they're adding it. So, and Toyota, if anybody cares. I said also Lucid. This may get them if it since they said it's just a connector, and they want that 900 volts plus. Depending on what happened here to make Hyundai happy, that might mean they got 1,000 volts on V3 superchargers. I said that 3 days ago. Okay. So let's go on to the next little bits of this before I get into the weeds on those comments. So I pointed out that I might have this picture, and I do. So Drive Tesla pointed out that, I guess it's Darren says, can't believe that Hyundai actually used this photo in their press release announcing their adoption of Next. And then Pat is asking where the picture came from. All right, so if you can see here, I don't know if that's electrical taped to their CCS1 outlet or if it's just wedged into the opening mechanism for the charge port door. They would have done better to just use the picture we had in the other article where it's just parked at the supercharger. Same as Ford and GM and several others did. They just pulled their car up to a supercharger, took a picture, and left. I give Hyundai points for trying to take it the next step further, but I don't know what to make of this. He thinks it's sloppy. They should hire Nicholas Photoshop guy. Yeah, that would have worked too, Photoshop. They also could have used a prototype, like one that actually had the port on there, but I don't imagine there are too many of those out there that they want to take pictures of. Mass manufacturer prototypes tend to be janky. Um, let's see. The Genesis AV from the same photo shoot has the same has the tape streaming from the charge port as well. I was just typing this into this week's EV Universe letter. It makes good newsletter too. Hyundai and Genesis are going to announce. While Verge says no info on Kia, you should check out the spy shots of the full photo shoot that have clicked on Reddit. It's obvious Kia and Genesis will announce NACS adoption ASAP. I mean, they were in the same. Mark tells us this is a mall. They were the same mall. Oh yeah, you do see the tape hanging off it. So it was electrical tape or gaffer's tape. All right. Oh yeah, then the Kia was there. We talked about this one last week. Okay. Moving on to the next one, which is I clicked it twice apparently, or put it in there twice. All right, we're gonna share this and close that first one. All right, so this one was fun. Automakers that have announced the switch to Tesla's NACS. I don't know why everybody keeps putting the Tesla first. It's a NACS by 20. Ford, check. GM, check. All these are checks until we get to the X's. GM, including Chevy, GMC, and Cadillac. Aptera, Rivian, Volvo, Polestar, Mercedes, Nissan, Jaguar, Honda, Fisker, Hyundai. Honda also includes Acura. Kia. Kia hasn't actually announced yet, but they're part of that group. Let's see. Still missing Subaru, Volkswagen, BMW, Audi, Lucid, Porsche, Toyota, Lexus, Lotus, and Faraday. And then I had a response to that. Let's see where it is. I don't know that buying a Tesla is cheaper than buying a Camry. Yeah, there's an article about that. I think we covered it. Porsche goes under VW, and Lexus goes under Toyota, so it's more like this. Organized by group. Look about right. Subaru Solterra is literally a rebadged Toyota BZ4X or Busy Forks. Yes, that's true, but I'm looking for my tweet, my post. Basically, I listed some that we're also missing. That's Atlantis. I think that was part of mine. Let's see. It didn't pull me up anywhere in these. Just pull up my name down to the very bottom of the interface. Oh, there I am. Okay. X, Mazda, Mitsubishi, trucks, up to and including Class 8, excluding pickups by the check marks above. And somebody responded to me. Alex says that Class 8 trucks would be covered under the megawatt charging standard, which Tesla has committed to from my research. It does look like a good standard, which utilizes ISO 15118. And I responded, we'll see what they actually put on the trucks. I hope it doesn't continue to be MCS2. They need to switch to NACS or MCS3 before the wide rollout. Yeah, because if you got the only trucks running around MCS2 in the world, it just creates more fragmentation. Put MCS3 on there or switch them to NACS. And if you switch them to NACS, then you also got a AC charging situation. With MCS, it's DC only, and not every operator is going to have DC everywhere the truck is going to stop. At least not the voltages the truck will need. 19 kilowatts, 11 kilowatts, both of those will get you some decent range while the truck is stopped. I don't mean like at loading docks, but like if you're an owner operator and you're on your 2 days mandatory off, The truck will be full by the time you're ready to go again. You're gonna have a large electric bill, but the truck will be ready. All right, and then it's not like if you're an owner operator, you're already used to paying thousands in diesel fuel, so it's not like that's gonna hurt that bad. All right, let's see what these people put for their little modifications to this. Whoa, I messed it up. The screen jumped. All right, so we're gonna do share screen. This guy with the peace sign. All right, so I see you just collapse them into their groups: GM, Cadillac, GMC. But arguably, the last important automaker is just VW. The rest could never go next, and it wouldn't make a difference because they barely sell any EVs anyway. So talking about the Toyota group, and I wouldn't say BMW any. They sell like a significant number of models. Lucid, Lotus, and Faraday, yeah, they don't matter to this. I mean, it would be nice. Faraday might make it. Communication system is the same because Tesla adopted CCS. So if they wanted to change, it's nothing complicated. Yeah, it's not complicated. But I'm saying it doesn't matter because they don't matter. The last important automaker that still plans to use CCS is VW. Excuse me. When they switch, that's basically everyone in the EVs in the US. I'll give them that. All right, so let's see what this person's revision came out to be. And we'll close the right window this time. All right, so this person, Lotus, Volvo Geely, yep. Lotus X, Mercedes, Aston Martin partnered with Lucid, Kia, Volkswagen, BMW, including Alpha, Mini, and Rolls-Royce, Toyota, Lexus, and Subaru. Subaru isn't exactly a part of Toyota, but Toyota has a huge interest in Subaru. And then their existing EV is a Toyota. I'm surprised they put Jeep at the top. It'd be Stellantis at the top. Unless it's because they think that Jeep is the only plug-in. You've still got the Chrysler Pacifica. VinFast, exactly, Exotic Geeks. I didn't even mention them. Yeah, we got VinFast. They need to go next. Maserati, Ram. I think Ram will do it because they've got they've got a couple of really nice spec sheets on their not really spec sheets but promises on their EV trucks coming out. So and vans. So they would have to do it. Lucid and Faraday. Subaru's not a Toyota subsidiary. That's what I'm saying. All right. Moving on. Enough about Hyundai and whoever's not a part of the social. Not Hyundai joining the social and whoever's still not part of the social. Let's look at some interesting developments. What we've got here is our first V4 station being installed in North America. We still don't know if this is going to be like Europe, where it's V4 pedestals on a V3 cabinet, or if this is the full V4 stack. Given that we've seen so many Cybertrucks running around, I would hope and suspect that this is actually going to be a full 1,000-volt V4 stack. And it's in North America, under construction in Oregon. It's a little far away from the factory, but we've seen how they roll out superchargers. It's just any which way they feel like. Let's see. On Tesla Motor Club forum, supercharger currently under construction in Wilsonville, Oregon, will be North America's first V4 station. I would say it's the first one that we found under construction. We've seen how long these things can get held up at the last second. But if everything just goes like all the new stations where they're doing 2 a day, 2 sites a day, then this will be it. The JNAX is going to take over. That's right. It's going to be awesome. And like I said, the only thing that really concerns me here is I'm curious how they solved it for Hyundai and if that's enough to bring Lucid on board or not. Let's see. It's in Wilsonville, Oregon, and it's in the southeast corner of the parking lot of the Argyle Square Shopping Center. 8315 Southwest Jack Burns Boulevard. It began in late August, and unlike the typical construction that takes place, the charging posts and bases were built and installed. So basically, what they're saying is these weren't prefabs. They kind of old school where they were custom built on site without the wiring inside the conduits. Or are they saying they were pre-installed but didn't include the wiring and conduit? Either way. Uh, Additionally, the supercharger cabinets and distribution cabinets were installed before the actual supercharger posts, leading to speculation this could mean it was going to be a V4 station. As it turns out, those suspicions were correct, and the V4 supercharger posts have now been installed. You can see from the photo below on the left, they are not your typical V3 posts that have a large opening in the middle, and while they don't have the faceplates installed yet, when you compare them to a V4 supercharger installation in the UK on the right, it's clear these are V4 posts. So here's a UK V4 pedestal that's not had the faceplate installed yet. And then there's the ones they're putting in Oregon. And then it is confirmed there were photos of, I think they were at the top of this one, maybe. But there were X posts where they credit Tesla. So this is a European one right here. But there were X posts showing that the covers and faceplates had arrived for these, and they are V4s. Let's see. Tesla's been expanding the number of superchargers open to non-Tesla EVs in recent weeks. This, however, was done with the Magic Dock. That was the other thing that they noticed in the X posts is that the V4s over here in Oregon appear to have the Magic Docks built into all the sites. So this will be interesting to watch. Da, 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 da. The one limiting factor is the length of charging cables and the non-uniform placement of charging ports on non-Tesla EVs, leading to some EVs having to pull in at weird angles or block two stalls in order to plug in. With the longer charging cables on V4 superchargers, this will no longer be an issue. Yeah, it's make it a lot easier on Cybertruck, which is pretty much the furthest that a Tesla can be from the charge port to the cabinet, or not the cabinet, to the pedestals. Then it'll make stuff like the F-150 Lightning and all of the Hyundai group, because theirs are on the opposite side of the car. It'll make all of those easier to deal with. I did like, though, when I saw the Escalade, the new Escalade, the CCS port is exactly in the same spot as Tesla puts theirs, except that when they opened it, it was a CCS1 port. It's easy enough to switch out when they get ready for the 2025 model year. Let's see, any comments on this one? I don't see any. All right, next up, we've got, I promised you a recall. This is the second recall for the Nissan Ariya. So what we're looking at here is Nissan's recalling nearly 10,000 Ariya over this software defect. And no, they are not doing an over-the-air update. And I argue that this should not just be a physical recall, but they should kind of redesign some stuff. Let's get into this one. Let's see. Nissan is recalling certain 2023 Ariya electrics over defective inverter software that can cause the vehicle to shut down unexpectedly. And that's just quite a softball right there. Inverter software. The recall happened on September 8th and impacts 9,813 Ariya. Based on Nissan's production records, the issue occurred on certain model year 23 Ariya EVs built between June 17th, 2022 and May 19th, 2023. Nissan says on affected vehicles, there's potential that that conductive shavings from the drive motor's slip ring can short circuit the two slip rings. So you don't want to short circuit anywhere, especially not in your high voltage components. And they're going to fix this with software. Is anyone getting deja vu on the LG fiascos with the Hyundai Group and General Motors and Chrysler? We're going to fix the short circuit with software. Mm-hmm. And you could literally fix the short circuit with software if it were a signaling issue or something that was running through your connections in the inverter. But we're talking about conductive shavings from the slip rings short-circuiting each other. Exactly, Anders. Yeah, right. Um, this is going to be another fun one to watch because this sounds inadequate to me. I'm sure it passed muster in some way in order to be counting as recall, but let's continue on this. Because of the short circuit, the inverter detects overcurrent, which who would have expected that to happen during a short circuit? Uh, and it cuts the motor torque due to fail-safe protocols. That's prudent. When this happens, the vehicle can shut down unexpectedly with an EV system off message on the dashboard because your motor just went out. Right, exactly. This is more like a clutch of some sort, but yeah. Here, let's see what the definition of a slip ring is. Let's ask the Mac. Look up. The Mac says dictionary slip ring noun a ring in a dynamo or electric motor which is attached to and rotates with the shaft, passing an electric current to a circuit via fixed brush pressing against it. Wait a minute. Are these not AC motors? Are they DC brushed motors? Wow. Yeah. We've had DC brush motors for a long time, over 100 years. They shouldn't be having this issue. Wow. I'm sorry. This is just dumbfounding. The torque will be cut off to the wheels until failsafe mode is disabled, requiring the vehicle to be turned off and back on again. I still think that's a good move. Nissan first noticed the issue in January 22 during a production trial. The Aria EV electric motor shut down after the vehicle started moving at a low speed. Okay. So that makes it seem like this is not very common if it occurred in January and they're just now fixing it in almost 2024. That or uh, it's the classic like Fight Club warranty recall situation. Yeah, exactly. So it keeps. I was like, you can see my gears spinning right there. Like, what's going on here? After running diagnostics, the diagnostic trouble code revealed a short circuit occurred. That means stop everything and figure out what's going on. Short circuit, not good, even if it's transient. But no damage was done. That's a blessing that no damage was done. Let's see. Between February 22 and April 22, Nissan inspected Aria components and discovered the issue. Okay, that's reasonable. You found the problem in January, and next month you started looking into it, and for the next 2 months, you were working on diagnosing it. That's great. But that was April, and we're now in October. Tell us more. Nissan inspected the Aria components and discovered the issue. Exotic Geek says, like those old school RC cars on the tracks. Yeah, yeah. I had played with them when I was a kid. The slot cars. Let's see. The company took a closer look at the shavings in the slip ring assembly. However, in late December of 22, uh, oh wait, that's last year. So this is last year, April. Not this year, April. We're in almost 2024, so almost 2 years later. Uh, the company took a closer look at the shavings in the slip ring assembly. However, in late December, Nissan received another report from an Aria EV in China that had shut down. Alarm bells should be going off by now. Like, okay, this is rare, but it just happened again in China. And the sample size in China is tiny because Nissan isn't really represented in China like that. Over the next few months, Nissan found that the fibers could be generated during usage. It's called the slip ring. That sounds like friction, does it not? Since it was momentary and did not damage any components, Nissan did not judge this condition as abnormal. Okay, so if it's a matter of like you're temporarily shorting it, and I guess you're collecting the shavings somewhere else, you still don't want it shorting out. You see what happens when an electric car catches fire for any reason, either externally induced or internally induced after a crash. Do you want your first non-Leaf electric car to be known as the self-immolation? You don't. Uh, Nissan implemented improved inverter failsafe control logic into the production or into production in April of 2023, receiving three more reports through September of 2023. So your improvement didn't work. Out of caution, Nissan is voluntarily recalling Aria electric SUVs to update the inverter and motor controller software. But it sounds like all they're doing is just making it not turn off when it shorts out. What they should do is go into some sort of turtle mode, let you get to the side of the road, and uh, fine. If you want to turn it off and turn it back on and it's gone, then fine. But you're going to need another recall on this. There should be no short circuiting. I understand that you're not happy with the way that the vehicle responds to the problem. Like it shouldn't just turn off, especially if you've got a reduced power mode. But if it's actively shorting out, you don't really want your customer to keep driving it while it's still shorting out. What happens when the EV catches fire? It makes news worldwide. Exactly, exactly. Yes, it makes the news. Oh, this is not this is not the right this is not the way. If it was like a temporary, like, hey, while we work on designing new slip rings, okay. But they didn't say that. And how do you make a brand new 2023 class vehicle that can't OTA update? Come on, Nissan. You've had the car wings system since the original Leaf in 2012. Owners of potentially affected vehicles will be notified beginning October 20th. So later this month, almost 2 years from their first detected incidents of this situation. Uh, Fight Club might be right in this case, except that nobody's been hurt. Um, so anyway, after October 20th, dealers will reprogram the inverter to improve protocols free of charge. Yeah, it better be free of charge. Nissan says the process may take less than 1 hour. You don't even know how long your software updates take? Or are you saying that your dealers might take up to an hour? Aria owners can contact Nissan customer service at 1-800-867-7669. The recall number is Romeo 23 Charlie 6. Let's see what Electric thinks about this. Electric says Nissan Aria is built in a new section of the Togachi assembly plant, Intelligent Factory, the automaker's flagship facility in Japan. Production has been hampered by supply chain shortages and more, slowing the electric SUV's momentum. The Aria was expected to hit US showrooms in 2021, but was delayed due to global chip shortage until late last year. In March, a Reuters report claimed that Aria production was running at one-third the planned levels. That's never good. This isn't the first recall either. In March, Nissan issued a voluntary recall, citing the steering wheel can detach from the steering column, impacting 1,000 Aria EVs. And you guys might remember that because we had talked about the Aria had a steering wheel detaching, and the Model Y had a handful of steering wheels potentially detaching, with 2 or 3 actual incidents of the person having a lot of slop in the wheel. Um, Never good. Never good. That that's an easy thing to check for. You're rolling it out of the factory, pull on the wheel. If the wheel's loose, send it back. And I'm not saying as a customer. That's literally like as you're driving it out of the factory because they don't just robotically drop onto like loading bays. And even if they did, the person who loads them on the truck and the ship should be able to go boop boop and say, "Oh, the steering wheel is not attached." Let's fix that. And that goes to Nissan, Tesla, everybody. Nobody should have detached steering wheels. You've been making cars for over 100 years. Yeah, they didn't all have wheels. They had tillers on some of them, but uh, the wheel is older than the electric car. And the electric car is from the early 1900s, so over 100 years. Anyway, this is the first recall. Nissan sold 7,379 Aria electric SUVs in the US this year, and other markets, including Japan, 6,146, and Europe, 7,173. However, China, where Nissan sells about a third of its global vehicles, the brand has only sold 1,575 Arias in 2023. 1-800 should have done better. I love it. Uh, Nissan's now its steering wheel versus Tesla with no wheel. Who makes the news first? Um, Tesla did. The only reason that they even were in the same episode was because it was like the second reported occurrence with the Tesla and the Nissan hit that same week, and they both did recalls at the same time. But I mean that was pretty bad on both of their parts, except that the I think that the first complaints were people saying um, that it came off in their hands and it actually didn't. It was just loose, which was not the best and is not safe. But the way they reported it is if the wheel was off in my lap versus just not properly connected and had a lot of slop, which is not ideal. You see the people that drive like this when they get to a new car, it's because their old car had a lot of slop in between where the gears would actually go. But you should never see that on a new car. Or you see it like when actors are pretending to drive and the car is not driving at all. But it's a whole other situation. All right, I'm about to go back to 3 frames second mode as I load up the next couple of articles. Where is there it is. All right, so we talked about the Aria. Now we're going to talk about what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the Ford Lightning. My note on that one was argument that this is because the end of model year changeover. We'll see if that actually is the case. Drive Tesla's talking about the Model Y in China. Then we've got some good news from Tesla. And then some commentary on the Tesla news. Oh, okay, that's what we're up to. We're up to talking about the production reports for a bunch of manufacturers. Is that the right one? Yep. Okay. And then not just the numbers. We've got some financials to talk about as well. You know, this is in the stock show, so that tells you a little something right there. We'll go on to China for a little bit. We'll come back to the States for a little bit longer. Then we'll go over to Korea. I hate it when this thing scrolls on me. Then we'll go to either Sweden or China, depending on how you want to look at it. And then we'll get off of the vehicles for a moment. And then we've got this one that's not even labeled. It's just a short Twitter link. I clicked it. Are you going to go? Okay. Okay. So that will be to China. And first, let me try this. Okay, then. I see you. I see you. Inside EVs has introduced a new ad on their site. Well, not really an ad. It's a video thing, but because it doesn't load, I can't close it. All right, let's start with the tweets. Next posts. All right, so car dealership guy says the F-150 Lightning cancellations are also impacting Canada. Photo credit is at Inked Investing. So this is an email to Najib. Najib was told that his 2023 Ford Lightning F-150, Ford F-150 Lightning XLT with heated seats. Sorry. Najib sent this to the customer. Najib is saying that, dear customer, I've actually confirmed with the management that it appears that Ford has actually canceled all of the incoming F-150 Lightnings that were getting built, and this unit was incoming as well. So essentially, we will not be able to obtain this F-150 Lightning no longer, unfortunately. It's interesting there, Najib. My apologies for the confusion. We had just gotten confirmation from Ford yesterday evening that all of our incoming Lightnings were no longer being built. Oh, I see what happened. I don't think it was bad grammar as much as like an inattentive rewrite of the email. If you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me directly. Best regards, Najib at Donway Ford. And at first you might think, oh yeah, Donway resold their Lightning to somebody else for more profit. Except that this isn't the first case we've heard of people with incoming Lightnings just getting canceled. The right thing to do would be to flip those orders to 2024s if, as I put in the notes, that the speculation is that this is because of an early model year changeover. Or late, or whatever, a model year changeover. I mean, yeah, even if you don't want to give it to them for the same price, be like, hey, you're still in line. It's going to be another $1,500 between 2023 and 2024. Or we can give you back your deposit. Have a nice day. That's fair. It's not fun, but it's fair. Does it straight up cancel it? You're within your rights, but it doesn't build customer loyalty. Because now this person's either going to get themselves a Cybertruck, or if they want to really plus it up, they can go and get a GMC or a Chevrolet. When I say plus it up, I'm talking the price is a substantial jump between the Lightning and the Chevys, the GMs. And the Cybertruck, you had to get spousal approval on it's not conventionally looking uh, at all. Benny Hill style, yes, exactly. Oh, you're right. Maybe if they got they were the first group, and if they got their operating certificate to sell the 2025s this early, that would be something right there. Uh, I would be excited to see that. I don't know if that's what it is, but I'd be excited to see that. What I suspected actually is that they were blaming it on the other people who were not saying it was the next model year. They were blaming it on the strikes, and from what I understood at the time that all this was happening was that Ford was close enough that their strikes weren't getting expanded like it was for Stellantis and GM. So I don't know that I would have blamed this on the strikes, but the J-Nizzy and the early model year changeovers, or both, would be very good reasons for this to happen and for it to be cancellation rather than being customer friendly about it. You can still be customer friendly about it and just say, hey, we can't tell you why. It's next year. Do you want to do the thing, or do you want your money back? It's the same effect if you cancel it. They still get their money back. All right. So let's see. If you want Jim Farley to come on the Car Dealership Guy podcast, comment below. And then we see that Jim liked the tweets. And of course, they won't make it into Canada as they're made in Mexico. That has nothing to do with it. Many people don't know that buying a Tesla is cheaper than buying a Camry. This is true. And then he puts his referral code in there. You can use my referral code if you want. He calls this guy. He says, "You're too slow, my friend." And he links his tweet. Yeah. So this is a dealer essentially saying they can't get a supply of Lightning, and are we sure this isn't just Ford moving direct to consumer sales? Yeah, we can be sure of that because at the moment, We haven't seen Ford do anything like this with Model E. Model E being their electric division. And what we will probably see happen first is they will put everything they want to keep into Model E, and everything they want to get the heck rid of, they will dump it all into Ford Blue, and they'll jettison that stuff. They'll either spin it off or sell it. And I would go with spin it off because the optics of selling it, unless they're no longer allowed to make new Fords, even combustion trucks, the optics of that would not be good. Also, you've only got half of the Mustangs available. You've got the Mustang Mach E will be in Model E, and the Mustang Classic will be in Ford Blue at the moment. And yeah, it's not the exact car you want to be a halo car for your EV brand, but the reason they still make a car, and it's that, is not because of the halo carness, but because it's profitable. And so you'd want the profitable car to stay with the division you want to keep. Or they could just dust their hands of it. And Toulouse asks, okay, but are the seats heated or not? Yeah, that could be. That could be. Jim could be pulling a Elon. Oh, we noticed that nobody uses the heated seats except for 2 months of the year. We've canceled them. I don't think any manufacturer would be that foolish. But well, I say that, but BMW was trying to charge monthly for them. So, and yeah, I know that was only a handful of cars, but they got all the news and they still kept it up. They didn't get that what people wanted was to have the seats included. Da, da, da. I did what you should have actually confirmed this with Ford. Ford is not canceling the F-150. Um, so let's see. Bankrupt. All right, let's see what this guy's post says because yeah. So this is exactly what I was saying in the other one. Retooling for 2024 is what I expected, and get hopefully improved version out before Cybertruck launch. What I want to know is, does the 2024 still have the stupid fake charge port door on the side? We saw that the black edition does not include the fake charge port door or chrome. Perfectly normal part of operations. Yeah, but again, when going to the next model year, they don't usually just cancel your orders. They ease you in somehow. I mean, as a dealer, your orders do get canceled, but as a customer, they especially if you like the situation with the GM EVs and the Ford EVs, where it just names on them on the units, they will give you a path to get the name on the next one. Yes, and the normal window for it too. Yes, but again, the cancellation is the weird part. They're not canceling it. They're stopping production because nobody will buy the ones they've already built and sent to dealers. I don't know that that's true. Tesla just did the same in many of their factories, and it was also due to demand. So this is what's required to ship new models. So Tesla did the same thing as Ford here in that they also retooled their factory. That's what we saw. Fremont got a retooling, and Austin got a retooling. They weren't down for very long because there weren't any major changes between the model years, or between the before and after the retooling. I suspect that Highland might be 2024 model year, just like we saw with the last time we did this, what, the 2021 Model 3, where it was actually a year cutoff, rather than the Tesla rolling phase in, which we're going to get to. We're going to talk about after we talk about numbers. Do or do not. There is no try. No legacy automakers in the top 10. And communities, this is insane. Ninja H2 versus Tesla Model S. Is that the first? Was that the plaid one? Oh, Ninja H2 motorcycle. Oh, hi. All right, bye. Interesting. We're talking about a 4,000-pound automobile versus a couple 100-pound bike. Incredible. Don't try this at home, folks. It's not safe on the bike or the car, but it was impressive. This is one that I saw and I was going to pull in, but I didn't want to put a link in the show notes. Taylor Robinette says, 4 hours out of town in my Tesla Model Y, starting at 75% of charge. I didn't need to charge along the way. When I arrived at my Airbnb, they had an EV charger and I plugged in. When I woke up this morning, my car was fully charged and ready for adventures through. Oh man, I wish that the mores would just like expand like they do on other social platforms. Um, Ready for adventures through the redwoods. EVs continue to grow exponentially in convenience. Teslas are the most practical car you can buy and the most fun. Once you go Tesla, you can't go back to other cars. Da, 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 da. This was on the West Coast. Here's one on the East Coast that has a Tesla charger in Follies Island. My grandmother's Airbnb, um, the Palmer House Inn, they've got a Tesla charger as well. All right, so let's go back to what we were actually getting ready to click on. And we're going to just breeze through this person's article. That wasn't an article at all. Monroe's sneak at the new Nissan is taking the Tesla approach with its integration. Oh, interesting. I wonder if this is too early for them to also have a comment about the slip rings. Thoughts on the Nissan Aria? Pleasantly surprised. Video's coming next week. All right, let's go back. And I didn't click on the article. I clicked on the hashtag. There we go. Share this tab instead. Close that. No, Ford is not canceling the F-150 Lightning. Ford has canceled some dealer stock orders for the Model E. Oh, okay. So then the problem here, why the guy's order didn't get moved to a new car, but they never told Ford they sold it. That's on the dealer. Ford has canceled some dealer stock orders. So Ford thought this vehicle was going to sit in inventory. And of course they canceled it. If you're retooling for the next model year, you don't want an extra car sitting out there from last year that you're going to have to help dealer discount to sell. It's going to come out of both your pockets. So if they knew it was sold, they would have either moved the customer over to a 2024 or still sent the unit. Do all your paperwork, folks. As part of our preparations to change over to model year 2024. These dealers will have the opportunity to reorder 2024 stock. Yeah, but again, they didn't know somebody's name was on it. That's why the name didn't get moved. They thought it was going to sit on the lot. No customer orders have been canceled by Ford. Yeah, so if you just put somebody's name on the board, like I used to do when I was selling Hondas, you just put somebody's name on the board and they want to cancel the orders, it makes perfect sense. The name on the board, it worked for us because we weren't selling EVs. They were just Civics, Accords, Odysseys. Come on. There'll be more. The Rouge Electric Vehicle Center continues to ramp production after retooling to increase capacity. Ford Australia is committed to our electrified future and are excited to begin customer deliveries of the Mustang Mach-E in December this year. Wow, you guys don't have the Mach-E yet? Model Y is going to continue to eat up that market in December this year. In 2024 and beyond, we have secured strong supply of the Mach-E and look forward to its long-term future in our model lineup. That was Ford's spokesperson. Okay, so there was nuance to what was going on, but interesting. Full pixels, dual screen display transforms any laptop into portable multitasker. I've got one of these. Haven't used it yet because I haven't left the I haven't left this office, but I've got one of those. Okay. Moving on. So the rumors are right. All right, so we got the Monroe thing. I'm going to skip that because that's for me. I'm going to share this tab instead, and we're going to close this tab. So I said we were going to talk about the Model Y in China, and we looked at the rendering slash actual photo from or screenshot from the design studio in China last week. Yeah, it was last week. And here is one in the flesh. Drive Tesla is tweeting out these pictures. First look at the Model Y in China. As expected, the Gemini wheels under the covers are a darker color now. And that was something that I pointed out. Like, man, those are much prettier than what we get. But it was the light with the gray, which was just nothing against it if you like it. Hey, Timothy, greetings from Arizona. Good to see you. All right, so here we can see in the design studio, this was a light blue color, but again, it's just the light pipe, so very much like we saw on the Highland, but only right here on the dash. And this like fabric material is on whether you have the black interior or the white interior. And somebody else pointed out that they don't sell a Model Y Performance of this new design yet, and it's got the performance pedals. So is that a new standard, perhaps? Or is this something that they didn't necessarily care to announce yet, that there is a Model Y Performance of the new halfway refresh? And there we can see another angle on that fabric trim. I like that better than the wood or the eye steering white strip. And it's not that it's that bright, but when the sun hits it at the right angle, it now reflects in your glass. And then there's the better looking wheel covers to me. They look the colors complement rather than like, whoa, what's going on over there? All right, that's the last photo of that. And like I said, we talked about this one already, so I just wanted to bring you guys those photos. So let's get into starting with Tesla because they were the first ones to report in my feed. All right, let's see. Tesla vehicle production and deliveries and date for financial results and webcast for third quarter 2023. So S and X were 13,688 produced, 15,985 sold, which 8% released, or at least subject to lease accounting. I think leased is the way to look at it because even if they leased it and paid up front, like a one pay lease, the money is still subject to lease accounting. Model 3 and Y, 416,800, of which they delivered 419,074, which 4% released, for a total of 430,488 sold, with 435,059 delivered, with 4% subject to lease. So you might say, they delivered more than they built. Yes, that's that favorite Tesla trick. Don't know how they do it. They can't do it every quarter, but they do it a lot. When they know that they've got a shutdown coming because they got a tool or whatever reason they're shutting down. Most impressive to me was how they were able to deliver new Model S and X for over a year after they shut down the S and X line uh, during the time while they were waiting for Palladium to get started. All right, so the financial call is going to occur on Wednesday, October 18th at 5:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Central. So you will find us over at the Tesla Life Show covering it live, and you'll find the update here when it's ready. All right, moving on. So Sawyer brings up a good point here. You're gonna hear, or you did hear, if you were paying any attention to it, a lot of the stock market analyst type people saying, "Oh, it was a miss, blah blah blah, it's a miss." It was a miss from what the analysts said that Tesla was gonna do, not a miss from what it was telling us. Tesla's still on track for the year number that what they told us. That was in that I closed it already in the report. Almost 2 million cars. Tesla's delivered 1,324,074 cars at the end of quarter three, 2023, officially passing their 2022 total of 1,313,851. So 75% of the year is done, and they've already matched and beat last year's 100% number. Oh my goodness, they missed! Oh, the world is sell Tesla. Oh my goodness, it's horrible. You can't like the reason these people are screaming chicken little is there's money to be made. They don't care about us. They only care about themselves and their customers. And if they have to lie and manipulate to do it, they will. And so they're going to make yet another record for Tesla appears a gigantic gaping failure. You have to tune them out. They don't know what they're looking at when they look at Tesla. Or if they do, then they what is the quote about you can't make a man understand that which his pocketbook intends that he can't that he not understand it. Total paraphrase, I know. Um, so if they are into fossil fuel production or if they're into um, combustion cars, they're going to not understand this thing until they get out or until the ship sinks. That's the way it is. So Tesla reiterated their 1.8 million delivery target for this year, which means they expect to deliver about 476,000 cars in quarter four, which would be yet another quarterly record. I still contend that the 2 million is not out of the question. They have learned to sandbag in recent years. They don't always do it, but they know how. So I'd be fine with saying 2 million and then getting, oh my goodness, so close to 2 million. Reiterating that 1.8 million should help buoy the stock. Yes, they did, but it didn't. Again, the loud ones. Uh, excuse me. They reiterated the 1.8, and the stock went down $7 that day. So the show replies goes inline, but the show more goes to a new page. That's goofy. Pre-market means very little until the end of the day. Even if it tanks, it's par for the course with Tesla. Yeah. Good news. Bad news. Boom. It's just the way it goes. I don't really care all that much either way. Just a buy and hold, boring investor. Also holding, adding more monthly via HSA. I don't know. I'd put my health savings into Tesla. I mean, it's long term, it's fine, but the whole point of the HSA is you might need it, and they do this. um, yeah, so they were up $1 for the day after market. Oh, this guy's HSA is also 100% Tesla. Good old California treats dividends transactions as taxable, even in an HSA account. Really? Ouch. So I parked it in Tesla a few years ago. No plans to touch it for a while. All while cash flowing, medical expenses, and saving receipts. You're probably doing the same. How it started, Elon in a Roadster. How it's going. The sexy fleet, including the cars and the house and the semi truck and the Cybertruck coming. All right, let's do the show more. See what this person's up to. I don't recommend this. Probably doing the same. Thumbs up. All right, so then we've got a tweet from Rivian. All right, it moved. Okay. Rivian's Q3 numbers are vehicles produced 16,304, vehicles delivered 15,564. Congratulations, guys. These results reflect our ongoing focus to increase R1, so R1T and R1S, R1 deliveries to our customers across the US and Canada and remain on track with our 52,000 unit unit annual production guidance. More at, and then Elon personally changed the way that links look on platform. They do look prettier, but now it is possible that we'll end up with clickbait. Like this goes to Rivian stories. That's not what it used to say there. I'd have been fine if they said, or if he said, "Oh, going forward, this is this." But the old stories and stuff that were out there have not changed. And somebody says, "Oh yeah, well, community notes." Yeah, but on some sites, like sites that have paywalls that I do read occasionally, but not enough that I want to pay for them. I'll need somebody to call out this is a gift link or whatever because I ain't clicking that. Whereas before, I could see the headline and see if I wanted to use my 3 free articles this month on this article. Now I just know where it's going. This is Rivian, so I would click on it anyway. But whatever. Great job, Rivian, and they said thanks for the support. Your customer service is a nightmare. Oh, we'd like to learn more about your experience. Feel free to shoot us a direct message with the email tied to your Rivian account. That's the best you could possibly really. Anything else is not going to go well. Um, they could have trolled Tesla there. I'm glad they didn't. He says, glad I could help. I'm assuming that's going to be a picture of him in his truck. Sorry, welcome to the road. All right, let's see. Oh, my control panel is way late. There we go. All right, so I'll share this tab instead. After they announced the solid delivery numbers, Rivian decided they were going to announce a $1.5 billion convertible senior notes sale offering. I don't know the terminology at the moment. And the Rivian stock is down 7% after hours on the news. John P. was not surprised how RJ answered the liquidity question. They almost had to release it and subsequent 8K the same day. Sounds like a capital raise possibility, question mark. Also context, down 7% after being up 9% on the day. So still up versus close yesterday. Okay. Whoa. Pump and dump scheme on retail investors. Too easy to raise money. Elon Musk slept on the factory floor rather than keep raising money as a solution. I was about to post how Rivian are becoming a promising automaker, then they do this. Wow, the Tesla way, congratulations. I really like Rivian a lot. I think they're the only other EV company to come with an original idea, and their product is fire. But I'm struggling buying this one in this economy. Their losses per vehicle and how fast they're going through money. I worry about how long they can maintain, and I'm not going to finish that tweet. So let's go. Rivian announced its intention to offer, subject to market and other conditions, $1.5 billion in aggregate principal amount of green convertible senior notes due 2030. The notes in the private offering to qualified institutional buyers. Oh, that's why retailers aren't able to purchase this. That's why. Pursuant to Rule 144A under the Securities Act of 1933, as amended Security Act, Rivian also expects to grant the initial purchasers of the notes an option to purchase for settlement within a period of 13 days from and including the date of the notes are first issued, up to an additional 225 million principal amount of notes. Interesting. So what happens here is you buy these essentially bonds, and instead of taking cash out, you can take out stock when they mature. All right, let's get back on earnings. The stock market. Chinese EV leaders BYD and NIO achieve record EV sales as price war looms. And I wonder if this site is going to break out their EVs versus plug-ins, like plug-in hybrids, or if they're just going to take their word for it with new energy vehicles. The closest September gap sales with Tesla, let's see, for 7 months, over 3.606 million, up 28.7% from 2022. Leading Chinese automaker, after surpassing Volkswagen earlier this year, BYD delivered a record 151,193 fully electric vehicles in September alone. Well, there we go, fully electric. In light of the progress, BYD sold 431,603 EVs in the third quarter. So anybody tells you that BYD has beaten Tesla is including stuff that's not an EV. BYD, which started as a battery company, has rapidly expanded in China and already dominating in several overseas markets, including Thailand, Brazil, Colombia, and Israel. Fourth quarter should be interesting as BYD looks to keep the momentum going with the new model launches in Japan, Mexico, Australia, India, Hungary, and more. Let's look at NIO. NIO in the third quarter posted deliveries of 15,641 units in September, pushing the third quarter to a record 55,432, which is up 75.4% year over year. Through September, NIO has delivered 109,933 all-electric models. Deliveries picked up over the last few months, with the several new models hitting the market. Congrats to NIO and BYD. Moving on, we got a lot more of this to talk about. All right, so GM releases Q3 numbers. Bolt leads the way while Ultium finally ramps. And the numbers I needed were in the headline, but thanks to the changes to X.com, I need the real page to load. Share this instead. And close that one. There we go. GM's overall non-EV sales, Q3 total of just over 20,000 EVs sold, represents a rather small percentage of the company that has repeatedly stated it's all in on EVs. Even electric is trolling you, GM. You've done lost it. The leader of the pack for GM's EVs, as has been for many years now, was the Bolt. Yeah, go figure. The entry-level, easily affordable car does well. Who would have thought? Between EV and EUV models, the Bolt sold 15,835 units for the quarter. Larry led, all right. I mean, we were just talking hundreds of thousands of units for Tesla and BYD. 15,000 units. I get that for NIO, but the GM we're talking about, which is up 13% from quarter two. It's not quite a record quarter for the Bolt. No, it's not. That came at the start of this year with 19.7 in Q1. But quite solid, especially for a vehicle that's going to be discontinued at the end of the year. Yeah, exactly. It'll probably come back as an Ultium model eventually, not next year, or at least not where the model year changeover would be. It's not often that vehicles have their best ever year of sales in their last year of existence. That's true. But it looks like that's what's about to happen for the Bolt. No wonder, given what a screaming deal it is at a base MSRP of just $26,000 before incentives, before tax credits, before anything. And it's not just cheap. It was also good enough to win Electrex Vehicle of the Year award in its last year of existence. Right, moving on to Ultium, things get a little more interesting. GM has struggled with Ultium since the beginning, and the ramp has been slower than many would expect. Ultium-based vehicles have had pretty low sales, though it looks like that is changing this quarter. Let's see what changing means. Last quarter, GM delivered just 47 units of Hummer EV, which looks like this, and also an SUV. Its first Ultium-based vehicle. Deliveries began back in late 2021, and sales have been slow. Its best quarters so far were 411 units in Q3 of 2022 and 272 units in Q2 of 2022. But other than that, it has never sold triple digits in a single quarter. It probably has something to do with the truck being entirely excessive, but also indicates that GM has perhaps had trouble getting Ultium off the ground. It seems to have changed this quarter, where GM delivered 1,167 Hummers in Q3. nearly tripling its previous record from last year. In fact, this deserves some sound effects. Here, what do we got? Uh, we got a clap. Let's see what they were able to pull off with the Lyric. It also has not had a good run. Cadillac Lyric, the second Ultium-based EV, also saw a record quarter of 3,108 Lyrics delivered in Q3, which is more than double Q2's 1,348 record. The important news, or this is important news, since GM's mass market Ultium-based EVs are set to be released imminently. In fact, a few deliveries were already accounted for on the company's Q3 results. What, really? The Blazer made it off the train? Apparently 19 Blazer EVs and 18 Silverado EVs were delivered in Q3. Oh, you did it, Mary. Chevy recently opened order requests for the Blazer EV, and we hope to see the floodgates open and big numbers show up. Top comments. This is probably has something to do with the truck being entirely excessive. What else indicates? That's a quote. That seems to have changed this quarter. A few months ago, GM Mary Barra specifically mentioned that the slow rollout of Ultium-based vehicles was because GM was still waiting on the automatic machinery that they had ordered from a supplier, which places the cells in modules, and that the low number of Ultium-based vehicles was because they had to manually insert the cells into the modules. Well, there you go. So we should expect it to see substantial increases this quarter coming, hopefully. Mm, 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 mm. And the number of Ultium-based vehicles was because of the manual. So surely the author knew this, but chose not to mention it. Maybe. All right. Rounding out the ladder, the total 20,092 EVs that GM delivered in Q3 are 35 Zevo 600s from BrightDrop out of Canada. The 20,092 units was up 28% from Q2, but still small compared to GM's overall total vehicle sales of 674,336 vehicles delivered, including gas vehicles. It's just under 3% of GM's total sales are all electric, which means even GM is underperforming compared to the national average of around 6 to 7% EV sales. I don't have a boo sound effect. Is barely ahead of Rivian, a startup without over 100 years of production experience like GM has. Just announced 15,064 deliveries, beating estimates. Yeah, we just talked about that. Yeah, that's right. You should be well ahead of Rivian at this point. GM claimed it is all in and that it would have 20 EVs by 2023. So it's going to take several more quarters of doubling or tripling EV production while also reducing the production of vehicles that continue to spew toxic waste into your lungs for the whole decade or more of their use, if GM wants to deliver on their promise of being all in or leading. Mary Led, you did it, Mary. Oh, man. Congrats on what you did do, but wow, that was pathetic. All right. Share this tab instead. U.S. Ford sold a record 20,962 BEVs in Q3, but only a bit more than GM. Both the Mustang Mach-E and E-Transit set new records, while the F-150 Lightning noted a significant decline. In September, the total sales of Ford and Lincoln vehicles in the U.S. increased by 16% year-over-year to 165,565. Huh. After the first 9 months of the year, the total amounted to 1,508,072, up 9% year-over-year. But this is all cars with the brand. Ford Lincoln sales of battery vehicles last month to a near record level of 7,742, which is up 65% year over year, which is about 4.9% of Ford's total volume. So they did better than GM by percentage and total number, of course. Let's note that Ford has sold more BEVs every month since April of this year. So that's good. The positive results allowed Ford to achieve the best quarterly result so far of 20,962 BEVs in quarter three. That's almost 15% more than a year ago and slightly more than in the case of General Motors. And none of them on the Ford side are actually like super affordable at the 25 starting price. On the other hand, for both Ford and GM, the results are lower than expected and may be considered disappointing. I'm disappointed. In terms of model sales, the Mach-E sits at a new record of 5,872 units, up 153% year over year. Congrats, guys. And the Ford E-Transit noted a record 937 units this month, up 109% year over year. Oh, that was a joke. That's still not a joke. There we go. Oh, the E-Transit, if it fits your needs, it's got a good range. If it doesn't fit your needs, it's like you could have made a more general purpose van like Mercedes did, with some range on it. For when it comes to the Lightning, its limited production translated into a pretty significant decrease in sales, only 933 units in September, down 51% year over year, and 3,503 in quarter three, down 46% year over year. Oh, September versus the quarter. Ford explains that things should improve in Q4 as the F-150 Lightning is expected to produce sales increases in Q4 as capacity at the Rouge Electric Vehicle Center are realized. So good luck. Moving on, let's go to Korea. That's a lot chewier than I thought it was looking at it. Hyundai Ioniq 5 electric SUV sales soar 203% in record-setting September. The Ioniq 5's hot streak continues in the US, with sales of the electric SUV soaring 203% in September, setting a new record. We're in great shape to finish the year strong. With our new Kona and increased sales from Ioniq lineup of electric vehicles, explains Randy Parker, CEO of Hyundai Motor America. All right. In the third quarter, Hyundai sold 11,665 Ioniq EVs, up 143%, also a record. Ioniq 5 sales have reached 25,306 through the first 9 months of 2023. Ioniq 5 sales have continued trending higher all year, despite a slight dip from August to July. The electric SUV is gaining momentum. All right, so the competition is coming narrative against Tesla is just not there. As we saw either last week or on the Tesla Live show, where Tesla outsold like the next 19 competitors combined for the quarter. We need these other automakers to catch up and put a real effort behind this. We need their dealer networks to learn how to sell the cars and to actually try. We can't rely on one company to do this for us, because we need competition for everything to be fair and affordable, and just keep them honest. Iron sharpening iron, right? So I'm glad for Tesla, but I'm disappointed in the rest of the industry at these numbers. Like Rivian, fine, they're a new startup. That's actually a good number to beat or almost beat GM. Looks like they beat Hyundai. Yeah, they did beat Hyundai with premium trucks. They cost a lot more. This is not where we need to be at this time. We need these numbers up. And yes, the economy worldwide is in the toilet, but I say that it's not in the toilet. It's doing quite well. Prices around the world are in the toilet. They're way too high compared to what our incomes are actually doing. But when you look at the numbers they were doing of gas cars to EV cars, it's not good. They should be at the 6% that we are nationally. The 6% shouldn't be coming from one whole completely different automaker that doesn't sell fossils. Let's go to Sweden or China with Geely and Volvo. Volvo sees higher demand for EVs as fully electric sales hit 15% share mark. Like that. Like that. 15%. You're exceeding the national average. Of course, that's probably for the whole world, including Norway. Volvo's fully electric vehicles are trending as sales rose by double digits in every region. Good job, Volvo. In the US, Volvo EV sales increased 631% as the automaker finds its week. This week, yeah. This is the last day of the week. There's no long-term future for cars with internal combustion engines, said Heinrich Green, Volvo's chief tech officer, in March of 2021. After Volvo was one of the first legacy automakers to commit to an all-electric future by 2030, the results are showing. This is how you lead. The growth was shown in every market, including Europe at 23%, China at 23%, and the US at 631%, and other markets at 155%. The Swedish automaker, or Chinese, has sold over 80,600 EVs this year, up 149% from 2022. Volvo's EV lineup began with the C40 Recharge and the XC40 Recharge and has expanded in a big way over the past several months. This is how you put your money where your mouth is. Instead of all that talk that we're hearing from GM and we see stuff Ford is trying, but the numbers aren't there yet. But this is how you do it. This is how you lead. Bennett says GM is 3% leading, all right. Misleading. Yes, that's what they're doing. They're misleading. But they need to actually at least follow. They need to get the program. The 3% is not enough. All right, so Volvo's got new EVs coming out, including the EX90 that we saw. They've got a minivan that I didn't talk about because it was just like, ooh, here's the back of the car. I don't like to do too many rumors on this channel. Hello, Moto. What are you doing? Yes. Hi, sweetie. Hmm? Where do you want me to go? I'm doing a show right now. You want to go with me? No. All right, but I've got my headphones on. I can't go. Where's mommy? Come here, sweetie. Is mommy asleep? Come here. It's okay. Watch your head. Watch your head. Come here. Oh, mommy was in the shower? Go find her. She's in the bathroom. Go ahead. She's in the room. You know where the room is? In the shower. You'll be fine. Go to the bedroom. You'll see mommy in there. Or I can pick you up. You don't want me to pick you up? It's right there. I can't make it all the way to the bedroom. Come here. See, look, there's mommy. There's mommy right there. Look. She wanted me to help her find her mom. So, like I said, so I don't do too many of the rumors and stuff for what's coming on. I don't do too many of the rumors. I do some, but like so, the Volvo's got a van coming out, and they've been teasing it with the back shot of it. And let's see, they introduced the EX30 we talked about. They've got a small electric SUV coming, which is cool. So way to go, Volvo! Show them how it's done. All right, so next up, we've still got some more numbers, but these aren't cars. This is renewable energy deployments for 2023. Excuse me. Wind and solar are mushrooming globally, but drought is throwing a wrench in the works. Here's what renewable growth is looking like in 2023. Slight increase of 0.2% compared to the same time period last year. A report published today by think tank Ember. Despite the growth of wind and solar, it was adverse hydro conditions, likely exacerbated by climate change, that prevented emissions from falling. And this is why it helps to have like a multi-pronged approach. If you have less wind one year, or you have something like a volcanic eruption, which makes like a 2% less light in one year or worse, or in this case, you have massive droughts that hurt your hydro, you still have other sources to help pick up the slack and still have very modest growth. But in addition to renewables, we need storage, energy storage, from hydro, pumped hydro, to electrochemical, to mechanical, because they are intermittent sources. Like the sun goes down, the wind doesn't always blow, and the tide comes in and out. So you need to store, make hay while the sun is shining. You need to store the excess to meter it out later when you need it. And I don't have a report on grid storage unless it's in here. Let's see. Last year, 78 countries, 90% of the global demand. Analyzed data from January to June of 23. So this is a 6-month report rather than a 3-month. Wind and solar were the only two renewable resources that significantly increased their share of global electricity, together providing 14.3% of global electricity in the first half of 2023, compared to 12.8% in the same period last year. We're getting there, almost 25%. Solar in particular is growing at a rapid pace, up 16%, or 104 terawatt hours, with 50 countries setting new monthly records in solar generation in the first half of 2023. China continues to be the leader in solar generation, providing a massive 43% of global growth. See, now if we hadn't played around with tariffs and stuff, we might have got those panels that they had already made. We put some taxes on them. They said, fine, we'll use them ourselves. And so now they're leading in solar. While the EU and US and India accounted for 12% each. It's not terrible. Could be better. First half of this year saw a historic fall in hydro percent, or a negative 177 terawatt hours due to droughts, with China accounting for 3/4 of this. As a result, fossil fuel generation increased slightly to meet the deficit created by hydro overall. But in China, coal generation increased to a new record high, up 8%, or an additional 203 terawatt hours. This is not the way. But I mean, I understand it. It's what you had on hand. Your hydro was lacking, so that's what you did. But it's not the way. Hydro generation had been in the same level last year as last year. The power sector emissions would have fallen by 2.9%, and had hydro generation been unchanged year over year, China's coal generation would have increased far more slowly. The lead author of the report and senior electricity analyst at Ember said it's still hanging in the balance if 2023 will see a fall in the power sector emissions. Yeah, I mean, we've got from now June to December to worry about. While it's encouraging to see the remarkable growth of wind and solar energy, we can't ignore the stark reality of adverse hydro conditions intensified by climate change. The world is teetering at the peak power emissions, and we now need to unleash the momentum for rapid decline in fossil fuels by securing a global agreement to triple renewables capacity in this decade. Yeah, I mean, we just got to do our homework. We got to double down, put the stuff in the ground. All right, so let's go from renewables back to cars. Just look at just China now. China set a massive plug-in car sales record of 700. Okay, thank you. Estimated that China is responsible for 6 out of 10 new rechargeable cars sold globally. Rechargeable meaning it's got a plug, not necessarily meaning it's electric. It could be a plug-in hybrid. It could be electric. Who knows? But it's a car. According to EV volumes, 750,735. I can't highlight anymore. That's helpful. You're slipping inside EVs. Didn't have charts when we wanted charts, and you're blocking me from highlighting. 750,735 new passenger plug-in cars were registered in China in August, which is roughly 36% more than a year ago. That's really good. The share of plug-ins also appears to be at a record level of 39%. It's basically 2 out of 5 new cars sold. Plug-in car registrations for the month include fully electric cars, 500,000 with 26% market share. Plug-in electric cars at 250,000 and 13% market share, for a total of 750,000, 735, up 35% and 39%. Not bad. All right, so we talked about Rivian, so I can skip that. We'll look at Norway. Yep, look at Norway. And then we're going to look at the Cybertruck. Then we're going to look at changes in the tax credit. And then we'll look at a little bit of Tesla SpaceX collaboration. Then we'll look at Toyota getting some batteries and not their solid state pipe dream they've been promising us forever. Then we'll look at a fueling provider. And then we'll look at what changes you might need to make as more EVs come out. And then we talked about the Cybertruck auction at the Peterson Museum on the Tesla Live show. We'll look and see where that ended up. And then we'll talk a little bit more about battery recycling. All right. So Norway's plug-in car market hits a record 93% in September 2023. I was going to just touch on that, but let's see the details. Tesla Model Y represented almost a quarter of all new car registrations in Norway. Wow. And look at this. So electric cars in Norway was most of the production for the quarter of uh, individually GM, Ford, and Rivian. I'm not saying that they did great there. I'm just saying, look, the country's deliveries almost matched the entire output for those makers. Rechargeable sales decreased year over year, but the drop was slightly lower than the market average. So the market share increased. Oh, that's kind of interesting. So they went down, but the whole market went down more. According to the Norwegian Road Federation, or the OFV, 9,617 new passenger plugins were registered last month, down 26% year over year, which was 93% of all cars in Norway, compared to 89.1% about a year ago. This number includes 9,000 all electric cars, down 21% from year over year, and 617 plug in hybrids, down 63% year over year. What you're probably seeing there is that their infrastructure and the multifamily off street park or on street parking situation is getting better to the point where people don't feel they need the backup of a budget. Wow. BEVs were down 21% at 9,000. PHEVs were down 16%. Sorry, we're down 63% to 617. And total was down 26%, but 93% of the market share. Wow. So let's see. 93 total, 87 for the BEVs, and 6% for the plug-in hybrids. I wonder how many of the others are just regular hybrids. I can't imagine too many straight fossils are out there. Models. September, Tesla Model Y had another outstanding month of sales with 2,476 units registered, which is several times higher than the next best-selling model and 23% of all new registrations during the month. So their best-selling car is a Model Y, not just electric, just period. Uh, this way, the Tesla Model Y strengthened as the best-selling car in the country with 19,575 units registered year to date and a 20.5% market share. So every fourth car you see in Norway is a Model Y. Wow, that's sorry, every fifth car. One fifth of the entire market for just one vehicle. So this is like what it was like when the Beetle was on sale, isn't it? And I say that, but it must exactly be like what it was when the Beetle was on sale because the Beetle held this record until last year with the or earlier this year when the Model Y snatched it away. Last month, strong sales were also noted by Skoda Enyaq IV at 697 registrations, the Mustang Mach-E at 493, and the BZ4X amazingly almost caught up to the Mustang at 472 units. So it gets cold in Norway. So this year we'll find out how well the thing fast charges in the cold. But as a smaller country, we might not actually see any results from that at all. I mean, we'll see uh, people doing it, but we might not see enough to draw a conclusion because it's a, it'll need less fast charging overall, especially if you're just commuting. Like the vacations tend to happen in the summertime, right? So ID4 had a relatively slow month with just 257 new cars, but it remains the second best. So far this year with 5,832 units, or 6.1. Wow. Number one, 2,500. Number two, 300. Almost 300. Moving on. So we saw the photos of the crash tested Cybertruck on the truck. Now we get to see some crash tested factory. First verified crash test Cybertruck at Giga, Texas. Here are 4 images from the north end of the crash testing facility. Looks like front end and airbags deployed. So here we see it appears like Tesla was trying to prevent looky loot, but they didn't cover the air. You can see side curtain airbags. We can see kind of crushed windshield. Definitely the front end. The front is all kinds of folded up. So anyone saying that this is a tank, it's going to blow through everything, blah blah blah. Who would have thought that the company that's always advertising their safety would make a safe truck? I thought it. Here's another angle. We can see some of the measuring rigs. We can see the crash test slow mo tape. Yeah, that windshield is definitely busted. Probably from the airbag. So it's sort of tarps covering in the vault there. There we go. Thanks to Joe and Reed, but most of the comments were stuff that he was tired of and kind of had a sarcastic response to because they were like that call and response there. Why didn't Tesla send it to outside lab for crash testing? Or maybe they did and it failed? Question mark. They did in half. Could delay truck deliveries to the end of the year. So if you need a certain number of outside tests to get your government certification, you'll do that. And if you're a safety focused company, you won't stop there. However, it's a lot cheaper for a company that's too cheap to keep phones in service uh, to continue to pay the outside agency to do all of your tests when you have a capable team of doing it in house. That is likely what we're seeing here. Or this one could just be back from the that test, and they're looking at the same place that they do their internal testing. We can't see the article numbers on the door to see if it was a Tesla number or a government number. This person says door alignment looks pretty bad. They look open to me, like they were getting out the crash test. We call them crash test dummies used to. I don't know what we call the signals now. Not seeing any broken glass whatsoever. The windshield's cracked near the left corner of the impact area. All right side. Was autopilot on. Yes, I thought there was a Dano clown mannequin head, so it didn't stop. You're probably gonna burn for that one, Joe, but dang if it ain't funny. Let me proactively address some of the comments in the informed comments. Let's see what Theodore Roosevelt said back in the day. Is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, and sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who comes out short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never know the victory nor defeat. Yep, yep. You did some good stuff there, Teddy. You did some atrocities, like all historical figures. Mixed bag. Ah, let's continue. All right, so we saw Cybertruck crashes. Ooh, a salad. Thank you. You will soon get up to $7,500 EV tax credit at purchase rather than a return. So what this is right now for 2023, the $7,500 tax credit works very much as the previous electric car tax credits and the hybrid tax credits back in the day. You buy the car, you file for it in your taxes. If you qualify, you get it back. The qualifications are a lot stricter than in the past for EVs and hybrids. And what's changing is now instead of having to wait until tax season, you get to just flip it around to the dealer or the person with the dealer license. That would include the Tesla galleries and stores. Uh, they can then flip it around and apply that rebate to the car. So your price would go down by up to $7,500. And of course, it's our U.S. tax system, so it's not as simple as it possibly could be, or even close. There's a flow chart. Let's go. So that nothing changed with the guidance is what they tell us. And so today the IRS issued guidelines to make it happen. The IRS issued proposed regulations, revenue procedure 2023-33 PDF. Frequently asked questions today for the transfer of new and previously owned clean vehicle credits from the taxpayer to an eligible entity for vehicles placed in service after December 31st of 2023. So come the new year. What the IRS calls a transfer is the ability of a new EV buyer to give the tax credit to the dealer that is selling the electric vehicle to them. And the dealer can give the equivalent in cash or the form of a partial payment or down payment. Okay. In short, you will get the benefits of the tax credit, which is up to $7,500 directly at purchase rather than waiting for tax season. However, all the same eligibility criteria apply even with a transfer, including the buyer having a federal tax burden. So if you are on a fixed income or you get your retirement from the government, uh, you might not qualify because you don't owe $7,500 in taxes, which means that you can nullify whatever you do owe, if anything, and that's it. It's not a refundable tax credit, so you won't get a check back from the dealer or the IRS. The buyer must give the dealer their tax information, which will then be submitted to the IRS. The dealer is not required to verify the information, and therefore the disclosure falls on the buyer. So make sure you know where you stand on this, or at least roughly, because an unscrupulous salesperson could just push it through. You sign on it saying that whatever, whatever, and then you get a nasty gram from the IRS come the next year. Give me my money. I guess that means you kind of have to have an idea where you stand on this as well. I guess you could also do it the current way and just not transfer, do it at the end of the year. Because then you know exactly where you stood that year because you'll be able to put it into your tax software or do it by hand or send it to your accountant or tax services provider. All the other requirements, like vehicle requirements, like MSP limits, and for the buyers, like income restrictions, apply here. The only requirement that this update allows is for you to avoid. The only requirement this update allows you to avoid is your tax burden. If for some reason you can't afford to buy a new car and yet you happen to have a tax burden smaller than the full amount with the tax credit, you are eligible for, the IRS says it won't recapture the difference. Oh, okay. So if you're not trying to take more than you are due, other than up to the 7,500, the IRS is saying they won't come and get back the difference. So if you have only 7,000 in taxes you owe at the end of the year, but you take 7,500, they're not going to come and try to collect $500 from you. So then why would that not work for people on a fixed income? I would say if you're retired and you turned it in this way and they're not coming back for it, you could be up $7,500. They might tax you on that, but they're not going to come and take it from you, according to this. Here's a flowchart we put together to see if you and the electric vehicle you want to buy are eligible for the credit. Basically, you have an "oh yeah" or "good news" answer above. You'll be able to transfer the credit to your dealer if you're buying the car after December 31st of 2023. The dealer will then be able to slash the price of your vehicle by the amount rather than wait for next year's tax season. Is Tesla eligible? This has been a recurring question since the point of sale credit was announced because Tesla doesn't operate dealers in the traditional sense, and dealers were always mentioned as the only ones able to take advantage of this new provision. Using income levels without any consideration for the local cost of living is a great disservice to the would-be EV purchasers. Yes. 150,000 in Missouri is rich. Yes. In places like San Francisco Bay Area, it's really not much. Sigh. I guess I'm keeping my ice till prices without tax credits come down. Well, you're in luck. They're down. Get yourself a Model 3. Reading through the guidelines today, I don't see anything that would prevent Tesla from offering this to their customers. While Tesla doesn't operate any third-party franchise dealers like the legacy automakers, it is a licensed car dealer in most states that has enabled direct sales in the U.S. The guideline doesn't say anything about manufacturers not being able to get access to the program. It only says that dealers need to register with the IRS to take advantage of it. The same goes for other EV startups using the same businesses, like Rivian and Lucid. All right, so let's look at their chart. Oh, it doesn't grow. Well, I'll give you a link to the article so you can try and blow it up, or at least on your smart device, you can go like this. Ping zoom. There we go. Fred had put it out in his tweets, but he kept deleting the tweets, so I didn't link any of them. It was a nice little flowchart. Moving on. Cross-pollination between Tesla and SpaceX is underappreciated. Taking Cybertruck marketing pics with the Starship in the background is dope bonus. Fire. All right, so what we have here is a spy shot of a Tesla photo shoot. Why did I say spy shot of a Tesla photo shoot? Because you might see it. Looks like that's what Cybertruck. So NSF took this picture, and we see. I don't think that's coming from the Cybertruck, is it? It looks like the Model X is in the background there. There's a Model X with the camera kit elsewhere, maybe in the same shot, because the Model X is smaller than the Cybertruck. Anyway, so the Cybertruck is pulling a Raptor vacuum engine, and according to Bing, the Raptor vacuum engine weighs 3,500 pounds, and I don't know what that is in kilograms. I could do the math, but I'm not. I don't know how much this trailer weighs, and I don't know how much the engine stand weighs. So it's not a particularly heavy load for the Cybertruck. And depending on what the trailer weighs, this is something that a Model X could do with the regular wheels instead of the 22s. but it's an impressive shot because don't forget that the stainless came from the SpaceX formulation. Then we've got some more photos from Sean Dougherty, I think also of NSX and an SF. Yep, there it is at Starbase. We don't see the rig there, so I'm guessing that the Model X was just in the shot, that last one. I don't see any cameras and stuff hanging off of this one. That's really close to the Starship. I don't know if you'd be able to see it unless I look it up. Let's see what we got here. You're currently viewing the latest version. Load in 4K. Metal detector. There were some more pictures from that shoot that I wanted to share, but oh well. Moving on. I mentioned that Toyota had some battery news that wasn't them lying and trying to hype about the solid state battery progress. Yeah. Toyota has found a battery supplier to power the next wave of electric vehicles in the US. LG Energy Solution and Toyota have signed a long-term battery supply agreement Wednesday for the upcoming EV models assembled in the US. So not the BZ Forks. Starting in 2025, LG Energy Solution will supply Toyota with 20 gigawatt hours of battery modules annually. Wow, most impressive. Especially going from where they are now to 20 gigawatt hours. So unless they plan to also make grid storage, that means they plan to make a lot of plugins. It doesn't outline the penalties if they don't do that, or what they're going to do. Like, can they just buy them and let them sit? I don't know. We might see some compelling Toyotas come out in the next couple weeks. 52 of them. According to the new supply agreement, the battery modules will be high nickel NCMA, nickel, cobalt, manganese, aluminum, pouch cell types. Oh, pouch cells again. There we go. Good luck. Park the car outside. Don't plug it in. Blah, 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 blah. I would hope by now that LG has fixed their quality control issues, but that was them. Anyway, Toyota loves them some pouch cells and prismatics. They're not really big on the round cells. LG Energy will be investing around $3 billion into its Holland, Michigan facility to build exclusive EV battery production lines for Toyota to increase supply. Oh, wow. Impressive. Once complete, the battery modules will be Toyota manufacturing in Kentucky and the automaker's largest manufacturing plant globally. Oh, I didn't realize that. I knew it was big. Took a tour of the place. It was awesome. At the time, they were making the Camry hybrid there. That's why I went and took a look. Toyota revealed in May it would produce its first EV assembled in the US, a 3-row electric SUV at the facility. It'll be one of 10 new Toyota EVs launching globally by 2026. Although Toyota has yet to reveal any other details on the new EV, it's expected to arrive in 2025, coinciding with the new supply agreement. And maybe joining the Supercharged Social? Because surely by now their Solterra, Busy Forks, and Lexus thing reports have been showing that EA is not giving a good fuzzy for their customers. CEO of Toyota North America said the new supply agreement with LG is critical for its EV growth plans in the US. Yes, it is. Meanwhile, the supply deal is the single largest from LG Energy outside of joint ventures. LG now supplies. Oh, so they're purely a customer. It's not a joint venture. Interesting. The company now has 8 manufacturing plants operating under construction in North America as it continues expanding its battery supply chain. Toyota, a notorious laggard in the EV area, has recently stepped up its vision for the future. The automaker has revealed plans to launch advanced EV batteries starting in 2026 to power EVs with nearly 500 miles of range, faster charging, and a lower cost. So these will be their solid states. Don't hold your breath. Although that is the shortest distance to time-wise to them that they've ever announced. Uh, Bennett says that Lexus version of the Busy Forks has upsettingly bad range for 60K. Yeah, I saw Kyle's headline for his test. I didn't watch it because not because I don't like Kyle's videos. I love Kyle's videos, but the vehicle has no interest for me whatsoever. I didn't want to give him a partial view for that. I guess I could have turned it on and walked away, but I didn't. It didn't interest me at all. So seeing the headline was enough. I know that Kyle's not big into clickbait, so yeah. Let's see. Okay, starting at EV percent sales table alphabetically. Ford 4%, Lucid 100%, Rivian 100%, Tesla 100%, Toyota less than 1%, Volvo 13%. Next. Feel free to double check the above. I would like to improve the accuracy as much as possible as I get more info, and I'll post the updated tables in other threads where it's relevant according to the article. That is by Martis. It's really weird that they put the comment in the middle of the article. I think it should go in between the highlighted comment. But okay. So Electric's take on this. Before their take, Toyota will implement new technology like gigacasting, self-propelled assembly lines. Everybody's got self-propelled assembly lines. You don't have that yet? I could have sworn I saw some of the magnetic guided vehicles in your factory. And more in a bid to catch up to Tesla and other EV leaders. With fully electric vehicles accounting for less than 0.4% of Toyota's over 1.6 million sales in North America through September, the automaker has a long way to go in catching up. Toyota sold 6,486 Busy Forks through the first 9 months of 2023. Even Rivian, an EV startup, is easily outpacing Toyota with 15,304 EVs delivered in the third quarter alone. Wow. So their third quarter number beat their yearly number. That's pretty pathetic, Toyota. Rivian has delivered 36,150 vehicles in 2023 and is on pace to deliver 52,000 units. While automakers are hitting double-digit EV sales, or even 100%, Toyotas account for less than 1%. Securing supply agreements with new electric models is one of the first steps to getting back on track, but 2025 may be too little, too late. We'll see. That's a lot of batteries. They might actually show up on the charts at this point, rather than just like being in that other block, the block that says other, and just smushes everybody together. Moving on. So I told you a fuel supplier, right? That includes electric. Racetrack has finally opened its first ever EV charging station. They've got a whole separate island over here. It says EV on the side instead of diesel or gas. And it appears they have themselves 2 or 4 spots. Southeast's 570 store service station Racetrack has finally got its first EV charging station. The Atlanta-based EV charging provider EnviroSpark has partnered with Racetrack to install its first ever EV charging station at 204 Grace Street in Oxford, Alabama. It was just 2. It's got 280 kilowatt fast chargers that are compatible with all EVs, and they along with the parking spaces, are sheltered under a large racetrack canopy. Convenience Store News ran an article in 2011 that reported that Racetrack wanted to install an EV charger at one of its stores in Bonita Springs, Florida. It's not clear why it took 12 years to finally install a single EV charger, but here we are. Burn. The new Oxford charging station is on PlugShare, which shows that it's located just 2 minutes away from an Electrify America DC fast charging station. Additionally, EV chargers are planned for Racetrack locations in Dallas before the end of 2024. Locations to be announced. All right, then. Electric says Racetrack would hardly qualify as an EV charging pioneer, and I don't see them dropping gas from their service stations anytime soon. Yeah, like we saw at the Wawa and at Tacoma Park, Maryland, Mr. Dooley gasless stations, where they are fueling stations, but they only have electricity. I gotta say that In a comment about Oxford's new EV charger, Max Brayer, CEO at Racetrack, says as a fuel service provider, no matter it's the type, italics are theirs, Racetrack will meet the evolving needs of its guests. It sounds like the Atlanta-based company has an all-of-the-above strategy. It acquired Gulf Oil in July and has no net zero targets in sight on its website. Well done. I gotta say, the canopy on the EV charging station is sweet. It'll be good to see more installers put up shelters over their EV charging stations. Plus, Racetrack's convenience stores are really good. Just saying. Uh, Better than the canopy would have been a solar canopy, and that's not to say there isn't solar on that canopy, but a solar canopy that you can see kind of shows they're putting their money where their mouth is. They still provide the shade. Photo came from PlugShare, and I would actually be thrilled to see more competing fast chargers in close proximity to each other. Yeah. You had me sheltered under a large Racetrack canopy. Moving on. Yeah, the Model X. EV adoption spurs updated guidance on parking structure design. So, okay, good. I wrote it down. I wrote interesting assumptions here. EVs will not continue to bulk up on the whole, regardless of what this entity suggests. It's past time to update the regs, though ICE or EV. Exotic Geek says so. Service station looks to service all cars or a fuel station. Cars and people. Yeah, exactly. They're living up to their name. So the summary on this is that UK's Institute for Structural Engineers has released a new guidance design for parking garages this year. Put out a broad range of topics. They suggested that cars are getting bigger, all cars, but they seem to think that EVs are substantially heavier than other cars, and they'll continue to get more heavy. Whereas the reality is that the Model 3 is already in the same weight class as a BMW M3, and um, unless you're going for like the mega range, which isn't the mass number of units on the market because they're expensive, you're going to see batteries get smaller and the cars get lighter because the less battery you have to pay for, the cheaper you can make the car. The less weight you're carrying around, the better fuel economy and range you get. So we're going to see, like we saw on the new Model 3, where the trend isn't to increase the battery size to increase the range. Even this Model X in the picture, mine weighs 58. So that's almost 6,000 pounds. There are Land Rovers that weigh more than that, and so they're suggesting that with the expansion of the popularity of SUVs and larger vans, that they update the guidance to maybe restrict these vehicles to the lower levels, that they beef up the levels that are available, and a number of other suggestions to other structural engineers. I just took issue with them saying that the battery is going to keep getting bigger, and so the car is going to keep getting heavier, when the economics suggests that you're going to do the opposite because you want your vehicle to be cheaper to make and cheaper to buy so you can sell more of them. Just saying. So this was actually literally just the structural aspect. It wasn't even about making sure they had charging or anything like that. The extra load and change. Oh, that was the other thing, was fire safety. Fire safety, you need that for gas cars too. But they suggested having more sprinklers would mean that you can prevent a fire from jumping from place to place. And then I don't know if it was here or in the comments, somebody suggested pumping water directly into the pack, which isn't going to happen anytime soon. One example is the Tesla Cybertruck stainless steel behemoth is expected to weigh somewhere between 5,000 and 8,000 pounds. Ooh. I mean, that is on the heavier side, but it's not excessive. I mean, look at what the Hummer weighs. The battery pack alone on the Hummer weighs as much as a Honda Civic. But again, that's what I'm saying, excessive and not a common case. So focusing on them. Bennett says, weight-wise, folks really have trouble comparing apples to apples. The Model Y Performance and a full Hellcat Durango are the closest I've seen. Exactly, exactly. Especially the folks who want to talk about road damage and taxes. They always seem to fall for the, oh, let's compare a '93 Geo Metro to a Model X Plaid. They're not the same thing. You compare the Model X Plaid to a Land Rover, and oh look, they're almost the same. The Model might weigh less. Thing to bear in mind that the ones that cause damage, if you like, are the heavy vehicles, not vehicles that are heavier than they were 40 years ago, but still within the capacity of the design for car parks. How many of them are left? I mean, when you look at a 40-year-old car park, it's not, unless you have a really forward-looking engineer, it's not able to handle most modern cars. Wapples explained in an interview with CNBC, what we're seeing is increasing numbers of now SUVs, large executive cars, both fossil fueled and battery ones, and pickup trucks, which are immensely heavy. That Hummer EV weighs so much more than my Camry. Yeah, exactly. Whereas what you really need to compare the Hummer EV to is something like a G wagon with the double axle for some reason. They modified it a little bit, something ostentatious and showy. A little. Don't look down there. Look at my big car. If you get where I'm going with that one. And I'm not saying that you are lesser endowed if you have a Hummer EV. I'm just saying that that's who they're looking for. That's their target market. Just because it works for you and you like it doesn't mean that you are exactly in the target market. I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of the target market. Solution A handful of potential solutions for heavy vehicles primarily include the need to retrofit older garages with increased structural support, either in specific spots that are determined to be weaker or in their entirety. He also notes that heavy vehicles could stay on ground floors to park, and garages could even screen the weights of cars as they enter. Um, I've seen something like this where they weigh the cars on the way in. I don't remember what they used it for, but they've got it. It exists, so all you gotta do is buy a solution at that point. If a pickup is significantly overloaded and that car park is weak, potential disaster waiting to happen, he says. We said as an industry, we must actually check our car parks out and make sure that that's not going to happen. Yeah, absolutely. Because what we want is the public to maintain confidence in our car parks and structural engineers. Well, I don't know that you can blame the engineers if the thing was built 50 years ago. Well, yeah, you can. You can blame the current engineer who recertified it and didn't change the weight limit. All right, so then they talk about the fires right here. It's not just an EV thing, but I kind of felt weird about including this article because they bring up good things to consider, but they bring them up from a place of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. They like, oh, what if an EV catches fire? Yeah, an EV fire is spectacular, but it's also super rare. And oh my goodness, EVs are heavy, but are you looking at the same thing? But yeah, it wouldn't hurt to make sure the thing is structurally sound, and it wouldn't hurt to make sure that you've got proper fire protection. That's go figure. We do the right thing for consumer safety. Although the sprinkler system will not put out a car fire, it will reduce the rate of spread within the car park, so it's constantly quenching the car next to the one that's on fire, stopping that one from also catching fire. Yeah, the type of truck fit in a home garage. Not mine. Yes, it will. Crazy article. You should be ashamed of yourself. When vehicles are heavier due to safety regulations, then they are way more powerful and bigger than post World War II things. Luckily, this is UK biased, and USA has heavier pickups. But fire and ice and hybrids burn at 10 times the rate of BEVs. This is true. The plastics and oils in cars means they love to burn. Leaving BBQ gas bottles in cars is also a surefire way to disaster, or hydrogen. The hydrogen gas forms combustible or explosive mixtures with the atmospheric oxygen, over a wide range of concentrations in the range of 4 to, I didn't realize it was so big, and 18 to 59% respectively. They need to be thinking about EV charging, not weight, or the most almost non-existent fires. The weight and fire problems are traditional anti-EV bull and not worthy of a response. The article clearly says that both EV and ICE are getting heavier. Yeah, it does, but it only after they start out with the bull, as this guy said. I'm not gonna buy an F-150E or Cybertruck. I'll be one of the 80% that will buy Model 3 or similar sized EV. It would be good if a charging system for car parks, high-rise living, and street parking were put up to the bill towards your house bill. What? Either way, yeah, it would be nice to see solutions for people who park off street in multifamily situations, either in apartment parking lot or a structure, or my favorite, the Japanese robot cassette things. And there are a couple of them that actually have an EV level 2 ABSE on the sled our rides on, which is really cool. UK is not getting a Cybertruck or a Hummer EV. It'll be getting the Range Rover EV. Exactly. Exactly. It's not getting the Cybertruck or the Hummer EV. You guys don't buy pickup trucks like that over there. I mean, you do, but not to the point where it's worth coming to market. They will get you the Range Rover EV. With increased range models, a wider span of vehicles, EV weights will continue getting heavier in the future. Like a lot of stated in this article this demonstrates a lack of in-depth understanding of the trajectory of EV development. Yes, a few models will be bigger and heavier for years, but the entire trajectory of EV development has been critically driven by two things: battery-specific energy and price. As specific energy watt-hours per kilogram, it will be possible to increase the range. However, that will also have to wait until specific cost, watt-hours per dollar, decreases. Both will have to continue to decrease significantly, as they have been doing for years. The upshot will be longer range vehicles that weigh less, not more, than contemporary EVs and possibly the corresponding LICE vehicles. Legacy ICE, LICE. I like it. I measured twice. My garage is 22 by 25 feet. I'm just waiting now. I'm guessing that was the interstitial article that was asking whether the Cybertruck would fit in your garage. Since the Cybertruck is a bigger, heavier vehicle, it might work nicely as a snowplow. Is it possible to attach a blade? That's a good question. Suggests no. The Giga casting precludes mounting a blade, which is the Giga cast does not make it any weaker or inability to mount a blade. They just have to have a place for it. I have a solution. Have a scale at the entrance to parking structures, and if your vehicle, whether an EV or an ICE, weighs over 6,000 pounds, then go find somewhere else to park. People will get the idea after a while that they're downsized to having a 3-ton tank for personal transportation. Instead, just accept it, and will force tens of thousands of parking garage operators and owners to upgrade their structures on their own dime to bring them up to code with our roads. There should be a penalty tax for heavy vehicles that tear up the roads. If you're about to retire and you're just making your rent on this parking structure, yeah, you're not going to do jack with it. But if the cars are getting heavier, which they have been, you're going to want to invest in your investment so that you can continue to make customers. So it kind of goes either way. My response was the scale mentioned in the meandering assumptions made. The scale was mentioned in the meandering assumptions made in, that the article reports on. Precisely. Put the onus on people making the decision to buy a vehicle with no regard for its weight. There's no reason to social those costs onto the rest of the public. And Bennett says, probably just depends on the radiator placement, like lightning not being able to plow. Yeah, exactly like that. Like you don't want to be able to keep it cool while you're working the motors at full torque. And I didn't know that the lightning couldn't plow. Can it do the reverse plow, the tow hitch plow on the back? That's interesting right there. The long overdue, as many of the vehicles on the U.S. roads are already well over today's load limits of today's parking garages. It's a shame that EVs are taking the hit when many of them weigh less than the behemoth trucks parking in those same garages. But it says, yep, okay, so the tow hitch will be one way. There's a guy who's running around with his Model Y, clearing driveways. That would be easier to do in a proper truck than in the Model Y. 3,500 kilograms is the weight max for a regular driver's license, typically in Europe. Yeah, so we saw this when we were talking about the Volkswagen California. It was too heavy uh, to be sold as a caravan for the regular driver's license in Europe. And so instead of bringing it to California, they decided they were going back to the drawing board. More mass requires a trucker's driver's license. And as a regular license requires a passing demanding test, a truck license in Europe is rare for non professionals. And as trucks may go up to 65 tons, don't park in garages. The article's heavier examples do not get a spot inside. The future focuses on weight reduction, thus less batteries, so more efficient. Weight loss makes vehicles more cost effective to produce and to purchase and own. So don't count on heavier vehicles. This first gen just isn't sophisticated yet. Battery chemistry will improve, aero will get better, internal losses will reduce, and it all becomes lighter. As for the Tesla truck, many European towns have standardized parking spots, curbside or on lot, at 5 meters in length, less than 18 feet, similar to the length of a Model S. So Model S is like just squeaks in there. And now you get some reasons why big trucks do not sell in Europe. They are needlessly large. Just like CCS, it's another nonsense cooked up by Institute scholars. Uh, Elon Musk points out that the Model 3 and BMW 3 Series weigh the same, and the Cybertruck, if around 7,000 pounds, will weigh the same as a three-quarter ton truck. The Model Y weighs the same as a Chevy Traverse. Sounds like more of a car park problem. Mm-hmm. Richard Dennis says, I think what they are trying to say is that an EV like the Tesla Semi weighs more than 1993 Geo Metro. So just like Bennett was saying, the Hummer versus the Camry, versus their personal Camry, the 93 Geo Metro, preposterous, I say. That's utter nonsense. Elon says, I wouldn't be shocked reading an article of that narrative. These days, I would not be shocked at anything. In fact, I come to expect it. 1,000 times this. The EVs are heavier, did have merit years ago when many models were chimeras. ICE vehicles that had EV bits shoehorned into them. Today, it's cherry picking and FUD. Just like all the hype about EVs wrecking our roads because they are so heavy. Yes, they are heavier than the average car from 1974, but most of this extra weight has come in the increase in pickup and pickup and SUV sales, and was well in place before EVs started arriving en masse. I suspect it's all mostly due to mostly another one of those FUD arguments meant to slow down EV adoption. The author claims it'll only get worse, but I think it'll be the opposite, as the most popular EVs in the world, the Tesla Model Y and Model 3, are both lighter than comparable ICE models, and as battery chemistry advancements progress, they'll get even more energy dense, hence lighter. Yep. And then also, as much as they want to pit us against each other, consumer versus consumer, about how heavy our cars are, dump trucks, heavy trucks, Class 8 trucks, Class 6 trucks, those are the ones wrecking our roads and our towns, not your neighbor's Hummer. I mean, the Hummer is putting more on than your 93 Geo Metro, but almost nothing. You make a good point. A non-electric F-150 weighs 4,069 to 4,653 pounds. Oh man, mine weighs more than the F-150 non-electric. Tesla Model Y is 4,416 pounds, so I'd say they weigh the same. Ford, Chevy, and GM sold about 1.8 million of these vehicles in 2022. Tesla sold the same in the US as one of these three at 536,000 cars in 2022. So I'd say the pickup trucks are a bigger factor than EVs, but maybe they don't sell in the UK. They don't sell well in the UK. And then Runas gets back to the point and says, put solar panels on every roof and parking lot. Bennett says, a lot of weight because they never sell actual small pickups anymore. Yeah, and as we talked about recently, that's not that they can't. It's because they are choosing to skirt the rules as much as they can. So rather than make a small pickup truck that actually meets emissions, they just make the truck bigger and bigger and bigger. And then to the point where now the time has come for them to actually meet the targets they promised 30 years ago. And so they have to hybridize them, they have to electrify them. And they're saying, like, oh, they surprised us with this. We didn't know this was coming. Look, politician A and politician B are doing this to you. It's their fault that you can't get a F-150 the way you want it anymore. When in reality, 30 years ago, they agreed to this. They had objections they could have raised at the time, and they didn't, because they knew they could just keep making them bigger, and they'd be long retired and golden parachuted by the time it was somebody else's problem to deal with. Ben says, yeah, but who buys the non-Lariat, non-high country, non-desert storm F-150? Exactly. Businesses, they buy the work truck model. Gregor Truck shares this with us. Uh, so we talked about on here and on the Tesla Live show that the Cybertruck auction at the Peterson Museum was going on, and it was won for $400,000 for the first Cybertruck sold. Doesn't mean the first one delivered, but this is the first Cybertruck sold to a customer. 400,000. Here's some of that auction. Who wants the first Cybertruck owner for 400,000? And then somebody signs up. Well, yes, GM Marketing had a hand in the 2.5 million bid. Just need to own a TV store. The 2.5 million bid was either talking about the EV1 or the Hummer EV auction that went off. I'll sell you a turnkey operation. Small bidder pool there. Toss one on Bring a Trailer, and it goes for over $1 million plus. Easily, I'm surprised. Maybe if Tesla advertised the auction, people would have known about it. It's true. Are they bidding for an NFT of a Cybertruck? No, they're getting an actual truck. Where is it? Mostly in Austin. Mostly. I think I'm losing my bet with Value Analyst. Interesting use of present tense. Yeah, because it should be lost. Because that was the last bid. I was going to DM this to you, but never mind. Check your Instagram. Reply to my shirtless pic. Lost the bet. All right, so I guess they were betting that it was going to go for more than that. I didn't think it was going to go for that much. I mean, 400,000 was in the realm of possibility, but I didn't see it going for more than that. I said some astronomical number of millions of dollars. I didn't see that as a possibility. All right, let's look at this. We know that Tesla co-founder J.B. Strobel went off to form Redwood Materials, a battery recycling company, now worldwide, since they found themselves a subsidiary in Europe. Well, Tesla plans to launch a cell recycling plant in Nevada. Because why pay somebody else to do what you can do yourself? They're going to launch they plan to launch their own cell recycling plant to achieve metal recovery on their own. This will be located at Giga, Nevada, according to a recent jobs posting. And in the article, they say this is new and never been discussed before, and there are certain aspects of that, but the idea of the failed gigacastings, like something that wasn't up to par, the alloy wheels, wrecked Teslas. They were talking about recycling the aluminum for gigacasting. They also talked about battery recycling, but not in this particular way. They were talking about using like redwoods of the world. In January, Tesla announced plans to build two new $3.6 billion manufacturing facilities east of Sparks, Nevada. One will produce Tesla Semi, and the other will produce 46 batteries. And these are just, as we talked about, I showed the picture, they're just finishing the Nevada Gigafactory, the original Gigafactory, to the full shape. And on the slide, they did mention something about recycling, I believe. But what's new is the details. Since then, only a few pieces of news about hiring at the facility. A large number of positions were associated with construction. In addition, Tesla recently began extensively hiring for semi-related positions. At the moment, the company's website, you can find dozens of job postings related to the expansion of Giga Nevada. Among the large number of vacancies, two were noteworthy. 2 weeks ago, they began a search for cell recycling operator and cell recycling operator night shift positions. Both positions are located in construction and facilities, and the job descriptions indicate people in these positions will be involved in the operation of the cell recycling pilot plant. There you go. A cell recycling operator at Gigafactory 1 is responsible for the equipment operation and overall production of the cell recycling pilot plant. The operator is also responsible for ensuring all cell recycling equipment is operating at peak efficiency in correlation with specific safety guidelines. As a Tesla Gigafactory 1 recycling operator, you will have the opportunity to drive a Tesla, or so to drive Tesla towards closing the loop on battery recycling. Uh, Cell recycling operators will work closely with engineering personnel to continuously develop and improve cell recycling systems. At the moment, this is the first mention of such a plant. Yeah, the first mention of a plant, but not the first mention of the action. Tesla batteries are now 100% recyclable according to the company's 2022 impact report. So all the people talking about rare earth metals and child labor and all that stuff, it doesn't apply to Tesla. It doesn't apply to most manufacturers, but it definitely doesn't apply to Tesla. Now the company has moved even further. According to the report for 2023, Tesla planned to achieve the following steps of battery recycling: physical deconstruction, thermal processing, qualification of material, and sorting. However, for 2024, the plan looks like this: physical deconstruction, thermal processing, metal recovery. So they're going to melt them all down, it sounds like. Just physically take them apart, burn them up, and then get the metals back out. It's likely that the cell recycling pilot plant has an important role to play in this, and if Tesla achieves metal recovery, it will dramatically reduce the battery production costs, making its electric vehicles even more affordable. Ta-da. I wonder if Tesla just doesn't allow comments anymore, or if something has changed with their, like maybe they changed comment providers and I can't see it. I'll have to look into that. So that is everything I had on the notebook for today. And I want to thank all of you today for your time. I want to thank our channel members for your monetary sponsorship of the channel. It helps pay for some of the services that we need, such as the Premiere Suite for our pre-recorded videos, this live streaming platform to be able to come to you guys every Sunday, and numerous other things. So with that, catch you on the flip side. Thank you very much. And it says wave. oh, yeah, so you already said about the lariat. And yeah. All right, so toodles.